here in Ithaca, New York, with the Ivy League Lacrosse Championship on the line. Dean Gibbons and the Harvard Crimson need a win to secure a sure spot in the NCAA tournament. But superstar Rob Pennell looking to give second-ranked Cornell their first ever Ivy League tournament championship. It's the Ivy League championship game coming up next from Ithaca on ESPNU. We are at Sholkoff Field on the campus of Cornell University. A beautiful day for the Ivy League championship game as number 18 Harvard takes on tournament host and second-ranked team in the country, the Big Red of Cornell. And these two teams advanced through the semifinals on Friday. Harvard came up with a win over Penn. Cornell defeated Yale on their home field to set up this finals matchup. And here's how they got there. A look back at Friday in the first semifinal, it was Harvard and Penn, and the Crimson got an outstanding effort from their attack. Jeff Cohen had a hat trick, so did Dean Gibbons, and that paced the Crimson to a win 12-8 over the Quakers of Penn to advance to this final. Game 2 saw Cornell fall behind early to Yale. They were down 4-1, but the Rob Pennell show started, and it did not stop. Pennell had a goal and 5 assists for the Big Red. That brought them to the championship game here in Ithaca. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our booth here in Ithaca. Happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. If you've not called your mom yet, do it right now. I'm Rob Simmelcare along with Jamie Monroe for what should be a really good Ivy League championship matchup. Cornell has dominated the Ivy League over the last few years, but when they've played a Harvard, it's been close. They've played 13-12 games the last 3 times they've played. What makes this matchup so good, and what makes Cornell so good?
Well, Cornell, this is typical Cornell lacrosse. These guys play so disciplined. They play so hard. They pressure you in the first 15 or 20 seconds that you get the ball. And, of course, they've got Rob Pennell. And Rob Pennell is the best player in the country right now. If you haven't seen this guy, you have to watch him today.
Pennell has been outstanding. We talked about his game on Friday. Meanwhile, this Harvard team came up with the win. They have been good, but they probably need a win today to ensure a spot in the NCAA tournament. They're a bubble team right now, and Jamie, for them, their attack has been a key all year as well.
No question. If people think that Harvard can't compete, think again. These guys are athletic. They're athletic on defense. They've got speed in the midfield, and they've got a tandem of scorers of Gibbon and Cohen that have big-time athleticism combined with big-time playmaking ability.
And there you see Dean Gibbons and our Warrior Impact players today. Well, there you have it. Dean Gibbons, impressive numbers, 30 goals, 29 assists on the year, but there is no one in lacrosse who can compete with Rob Pennell right now. Look at those just outrageous numbers. 77 points on the year, 35 goals, 42 assists. He has had a part in about 40% of every goal Cornell has scored this year. So he is the man for Cornell. The offense runs through him, and we're going to watch him all day long. In fact, we're going to have a camera following Pennell all day, so we'll get a chance to see a lot of what makes him so great. There you see head coach Ben DeLuca for the Big Red, his first year here at Cornell, and it's been a good one, 12-2 on the year. This is his 17th season on campus as a player or a coach here at Cornell. On the other side, another rookie head coach, Chris Wojcik, first year at Harvard, 10-5 record. So a couple of guys in their first years at the helm, both enjoying a lot of success. And they both want a win here. Neither one of these two teams has ever won the Ivy League tournament. It's only in its second year of existence. Princeton won it against Cornell here in Ithaca last year. We are underway as the Crimson win the opening face-off. Andrew Parchment picking up the win there for Harvard, and we go to work here in Ithaca.
So here comes the early pressure. So they bailed out of it, but watch for Cornell to attempt to put pressure on in the beginning of possessions, whether they are clearing possessions or in the middle of the field while you're substituting. They love to get after you and see if you can handle it.
Harvard averaging over 11 goals a game this year, so they can score. They start out with Kevin Vaughn sending it down low to Dean Gibbons, and they work it around.
So Cornell is out here double polling in the midfield, which what that means is they're putting 2 long poles on midfielders and a short stick on 40 Hull on attack.
This is Gibbons behind the net, finding a little space, firing the first shot of the game wide left. It was backed up by Jeff Cohen, so Harvard will hold on.
Many times, the third attackman on a team is less threatening as a Dodger than the second best midfielder. In this case, Cornell obviously is thinking that way, and it can be a good way to create offense for yourself if you can make plays against that short stick.
A good looking shot from Jack Doyle, who got himself on the doorstep, but AJ Fiore, the sophomore second-year starter in goal for Cornell, makes his first save of the day.
Against Penn, Harvard did a great job riding and forcing them into turnovers. It'll be interesting to see what they do here versus Cornell today.
You see Fiore helping out on this Cornell clear. Cornell having some trouble here. Shane O'Neill, number 50, couldn't get it through, and a turnover brings it back to Harvard. Unsettled play. Chance here for the Crimson. This is Matt Hall giving it up. So Cornell failing on their first clear attempt of the day.
They really had it too. That was just, you know, getting stripped by a short stick in the middle of the field is something that's not characteristic of Cornell lacrosse. I wouldn't expect that to continue moving forward in this game.
Cornell has not started well the last couple of times out of the gate. In their final regular season game, they fell behind 6-1 to Princeton, as we see a shot here going wide from Matt Hull. And it's backed up by Cornell, so Cornell closest to it. Max Feely, number 33, hustling to get possession for the Big Red.
We talked about that in the Penn game. In the Cornell Yale game, that Cornell loves to outrun and anticipate shots and beat the attackman to the end line. They will steal 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5 possessions a game when they sort of see someone's going to be shooting and they get a step on it. Because the attackman really has to try to sneak and stay in the play, and if they cheat at all trying to get the next pass, Cornell can beat them.
Cornell again a little shaky on the clear. You saw a pass that bounced in front of Mike Bronzino. Bronzino brought it up to midfield, now dumps it off to Scott Austin, and Austin gets it into the box.
Okay, so let's look at Rob Pennell being locked off right now by Harvard. They are not going to let him touch the ball here today. We might guess he'll only be able to get it off of the end lines, off of restarts. If you watch your left side of your screen, you're going to see that they're paying attention to nothing else except for Rob Pennell.
Number 3 for the Big Red. Obviously, job 1 for the Crimson. You're not going to stop him, the old cliche, you can only hope to contain him. Well, the best way to contain him is to keep him off the ball, try to deny him the ball. And you see right now for Harvard, that task has been given to number 42, Paul Rote, as we see a shot here going wide. Paul Pate, I should say, number 42 for the Crimson. In the last matchup, in a 13-12 Cornell victory, the Crimson did exactly the same thing and held Pennell to his lowest output with 2 goals and 0 assists. You know, but they also gave up 13 goals because there's more space, like you're seeing right there. And there it is, Pennell scores on his first shot of the day, and here we go. The Rob Pennell show has officially begun. It's 1-0 Big Red.
So when you think about Rob Pennell, and you're going to say, we're not going to slide to him because he's such a great feeder, we are going to make him be a goal scorer. Harvard also, I think, wants to try to push him up the field a little bit because at the end of the day, they feel like his inside rolls and his change of direction are so dangerous. And when he comes around and shoots that screenshot on you, it's a little bit demoralizing.
So Pennell gets the Big Red off to a good start here on their home field, and the ensuing faceoff quickly picked up by Cornell. A pretty win there for the Big Red as Doug Tesoro pushed it ahead and gains possession for the Big Red. We mentioned the slow starts Cornell has had. This is a good start for them. They fell behind 4-1 in the semifinals here Friday against Yale, and they fell behind to Princeton 6-1 in their regular season finale, but came back to win both those games. So a good start as Pennell gets free again and fires a shot wide. Backed up by David Lau for the Big Red. Now Lau on the restart. Sends, and a shot there from number 22, Jack Dudley. The save made by Harry Krieger. So Harry Krieger making his first save of the day for Harvard.
So what Cornell is doing to give Pennell more space is they're basically clearing an adjacent guy through and keeping all the rest of the players very high, and it's giving Rob Pennell so much space to operate that it's going to be really, really hard to stop him one-on-one. Normally, there are other defenders in the way, but you can't have it both ways. Shut him off and let him try to beat you, or help a little bit and he'll feed on you.
Feed to Lau in front, couldn't control it. Rebound comes loose to Lang, and Lang fires a shot high.
So when the ball goes over the end line, because they're locking off Pennell, he's going to run back and grab that thing and try to make some plays. Watch for Cornell to clear through the wings and stay nice and high.
Pennell with the ball in his stick on this restart. Started by Pate, tried to feed it for Lau, who was cutting to the net, but the ball hits the ground. So Harvard's defense able to shut that centering pass off there and get in David Lau's way. That's a turnover.
That was a good stand, though. They needed that. They needed to come up with some saves. In that case, Pennell didn't go to the goal quite as hard as he normally does and was kind of looking to be a post-up feeder, which he is great at, but I think Harvard would rather have it that way than have him using his great quickness to be getting shots off.
Crimson now looking to make something happen with Dean Gibbons, their senior captain behind the net. Max Feely, the outstanding Cornell defenseman, number 33, draws the assignment to cover Gibbons. No surprise there. Feely's been the shutoff man for Cornell all year long. Here's a dodge move. Now a switch as Gibbons being covered by Mike Bronzino. Gibbons on Bronzino. Behind the net, feeds in front, and a shot goes wide. Battle here for the backup. Very close call, and they'll give it to Harvard. That was a close call there.
That was. You saw Cornell trying to steal that possession again. Now, Harvard is going to have to draw slides out here or get better one-on-one chances. As I'm watching them play right now, they're not penetrating the Cornell defense. When they do, they will draw slides, and all of a sudden they'll have great opportunities. If they don't, they need to score their one-on-one chances.
Alex White here for Harvard in the left alley. He's got Lang on him. Now he's triple teamed, still holding the ball. He needs to get rid of the ball. Held onto it for a long time there and finally ends up giving up a turnover. So Alex White sort of found himself trapped there in the corner, and Cornell came with 3 and dislodged the ball from his stick.
It happened a couple times on that possession. Earlier in the possession, there was a clear double team that Harvard saw, and they didn't move the ball. If you're going to score goals in lacrosse, when people double you got to move it quickly so they can't recover. So they're hanging on to it a little bit too long. I think they're just a little bit nervous.
Big spot here for the Crimson. They have not been in the NCAA tournament at Harvard since 2006. So this is a chance for them to make that happen. If they're not able to win here today and get the automatic bid, then they go to that bubble position for the selection show tonight. And if you look at Harvard's schedule, they would appear to be possibly on the outside looking in. It will be close to see whether they can get that automatic bid. We'll go through their schedule in a little while, but it is certainly no shoo-in that they would make the tournament if they lose here today.
So for Cornell, when Pennell doesn't have the ball and he's being locked, they're basically playing up. Little change of defense here by Harvard. Now they left Pennell and they're playing their regular defense. You see, before they were shutting them off and they were playing a 5-on-5 game, and it was a little bit too much wide open.
And a shot and a score. It wasn't Pennell that time, but Steve Mock, who picked up the pass on the left hash mark, turned and fired. It's 2-0, Big Red.
So they're between defenses right now, which is really hard because on the one hand, they're trying to shut off Pennell and deny him, and then Cornell has got more space because it's 5-on-5. On the other hand, you don't see it on the left side of your screen here. You don't see Pennell, but he's being locked off out there, and right in the middle of this play, they slid off Pennell. Later in the play, they're locking him off deep on the backside, and that's really hard for a defense to deal with because what are you doing? Are you locking and playing 5-on-5, or are you playing your normal team defense? And when you get stuck in the middle, it's a real challenge.
Well, Mock found himself with a great angle there to shoot, and now in a quick face-off win for Cornell. They go right back to work, and Steve Mock has it back in his stick. So the momentum quickly tilting Cornell's way in the early going here as we approach the 6-minute mark in this first quarter.
So they're putting Pennell in the middle, spreading out Harvard a little bit, and they're sliding off Pennell now a little bit. So now you're going to see him be able to make plays in a defense that's a little bit more traditional.
Pennell had it there, had a little space, but fired a shot wide, backed up by the Crimson. So a little trick out of the Cornell playbook there as Harvard anticipates the shot from Pennell, and they're closest to the line as it goes across. Those are big plays. If you don't know the sport of college lacrosse, after a shot, whichever team is closest to the ball when it goes across the line gets possession. And that time, Harvard hustled to be there first.
Sometimes it takes players, particularly on offense in a big game when you're a little nervous, a few runs to feel their quickness. And you'll see early in the game, you feel like you are not penetrating. And then as you start to get your legs underneath you, the things start to click a little bit.
Here's a chance for Harvard and a score. Matt Hall with great position all day to beat Fiore. It's 2-1.
So that's what I mean. They're seeming a little quicker right now. I was, for Harvard's sake, I was hoping this was going to happen because they look stiff and a little bit slow early in the first few possessions. But here, they draw that slide that we were referring to, and they're able to beat the second slide with a really nice inside roll. Real good poise on the finish, too.
After that roll, beating Feely, he just had a week to work with there. Nobody picked him up, and so a big goal there for Harvard to get on the scoreboard. The senior, Matt Hall.
That was huge. That really was. They needed that because Cornell was sort of like dictating the pace of this play. They were controlling it. All of a sudden, they back up a shot, really quick restart. I don't know if you noticed, but on the clear, like Cornell really likes to pressure you. They were able to get the ball up and out on a clear before we were even done talking about what a good backup it was.
Just saw Doug Tesorio for Cornell, who was going to take that face-off. He had to go off the field. Couldn't tell if it was an equipment issue or a physical issue. I think it was something physical, blood on his uniform, so he has to go off the field. And instead, the face-off, well, Cornell's still able to come up with the win. So they go to their backup face-off specialist, and they still get the win. And now it's Steve Mock, the sophomore, who's got a goal, bringing it in. And off to David Lau, a senior from Syosset, New York, number 7 for Cornell.
Watch David Lau to be able to put pressure on. He's got tremendous quickness and had a great game against Harvard the last time that these two teams played.
Lau with 22 goals and 15 assists coming into this game. And here's Lang and the outstanding midi finding Lau, who fired a shot wide.
They're creating a lot of chances here.
Now on the restart, they get it to Pennell. Pennell one-on-one, good defense there, getting Pennell down to the ground. Look at this one-on-one battle there between Pennell and Paul Pate. Pate standing his ground there and backed up by Harvard. So good defensive stand there by Paul Pate, the junior. Let's get a look at this man-on-man battle here on the left side of your screen between Rob Pennell and Paul Pate.
He's really putting some pressure on. It's amazing how he's able to not lose the ball when he's pretty much falling down. But you see he settled for a right-handed shot there with very little angle. And if I'm Harvard, I'm happy with that.
Back the other way, the Crimson, Terry White firing it wide. Backed up by Harvard.
I like that. I like Harvard going straight at him, breaking some pressure. Cornell's going to try to apply it. And if you go straight at it, you're going to create some scoring opportunities.
Back on the other side of the field, anytime you can deal with Rob Pennell and not double team him, that's got to be considered a victory for your defense, and that's what Harvard did last time down. Now a feed in front, and a save by Fiore, point blank. He denies White on the doorstep. Good read as White went high, and Fiore was ready.
It was a nice save. It was lower left of your screen, you're going to see this. It was pretty nice play in that the Harvard team was able to draw a slide and feed, but the receiver was just falling out of angle, and it was really kind of a routine save, but a big save.
Now we see Steve Mock behind the net. He's got Joe Petrucci on him, number 19 for Harvard, and Cornell sends it out. Second ever Ivy League tournament. Princeton won it here in Ithaca last year in a thriller. Last-minute goal beating the Big Red. But this Cornell team, aside from that, has just been dominant in the Ivy League over the last decade, really, as we see a shot from Chris Langton picked up. A turnover on this rebound. Krieger had it taken away by Pinnell. Now a battle, and we're going to get a flag thrown and a penalty coming up. So we'll see what the call is here, but a big turn of events as Krieger was not able to start that clear, and a battle. Looks like Cornell is likely to have a man up here.
42. Push with possession.
What a little turnaround there. All of a sudden, not a great shot by Cornell. Routine, easy save, and when that happens, when the goalie catches it cleanly, the middies are able to get right up the field real quick. Let's see this push right here.
42, Paul Pate, the man we've been talking about. A push call against Pate. Sends him to the box for 30 seconds. So first man-up opportunity of the day for either team.
Guess what? Rob Pinnell's being shut off behind the net again.
The shot from out top there, number 32, Mitch McMichael. Long pole taking that.
By the way, Mitch McMichael was a great midfielder in high school. He's from Canada, and he came from the Salisbury School, and the kid was a goal scorer. Shows you how much skill they have on their defense.
And tonight, ESPNU will reveal the 2011 NCAA Division I Men's Lacrosse Championship brackets. Our experts will discuss every region, give their predictions for who's going to hoist the trophy. The NCAA Division I Selection Show, 9 Eastern tonight. You won't want to miss that as this man-up opportunity for Cornell expires. So the Big Red unable to get a shot on goal with that 30-second opportunity, and now a long clearing pass from Krieger finds his man, Mark Solis, and a successful clear for the Crimson.
Mark Scalise is the son of the athletic director, Bob Scalise, who used to be the lacrosse coach at Harvard back in the day. Back when I was a player, he was at Harvard. So let's talk about Rob Pinnell, the fact that he gets shut off every man up. He's got 70 points on the season, and he basically doesn't get man up points. He doesn't get those free points that all the other guys on man up get. And that was big for them because they've gotten a couple key stops here, and now they got the thing back on offense. Let's see what they can do.
The only thing worse than the ball in Rob Pinnell's stick is the ball in Rob Pinnell's stick with a man up. So Harvard trying to keep him off the ball. We see a pass from Gibbons here through the crease for Harvard. Didn't find anyone, but it's picked up on a good hustle play by Terry White. Alex White, number 11 for Harvard. Oh, a big hit there, but actually really friendly fire for Cornell. A big shot and a save by Fiore. Ryan Stevens winding up and firing, but A.J. Fiore with his best save so far.
No question, and Fiore, I think the book on him is that he's great low and you can score on him high. Yale kind of proved that the other night right there to come out with a save. Check out the lower corner of your screen. Watch this shooter wind up and Fiore be able to stand right up to the high heat.
Other end, a crease call going against Cornell is going to give the ball back to Harvard. Roy Lang was in the crease. Ball was actually well behind the net when Lang stepped in, and now this long pass will have our first quarter expire. So a good first quarter. Harvard hanging right in there against the number 2 team in the country. Rob Pinnell, we're keeping a close eye on him all day. He's got a goal for the Big Red as that Harvard defense tries to figure out what to do with the likely Tewaaraton Ward winner this year. We'll be back with the second quarter after this. A beautiful Mother's Day here in Ithaca, New York, and a good-looking game for this Ivy League Tournament Championship. The finals here between Harvard and Cornell, and Harvard right now hanging tight. Coach Chris Wojcik and his Crimson playing some good defense on the road here against the #2 team in the country, and they are down 2-1. But Jamie, I think Chris Wojcik right now has got to feel pretty good, down only by 1 after 1 quarter.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think he feels good being down, but I do think he feels good that he has a chance to settle into things, because he gave up some chances that Cornell didn't cash in on. I think it could easily be 4-1 right now, and I think his offense has shown signs of really good things, and he's just got to get a little bit more into a rhythm. I expect this to be a much higher scoring game. You never know. Maybe these guys will both struggle to score, but I would expect it to turn into some goals start to go in both ways.
Teams switch goals here, and Harvard wins the opening face-off of the second quarter. Kevin Vaughn, number 8 for the Crimson, in possession behind the net. See a screen set there by Cohen for Harvard. Now Gibbons is going to feed it, and a missed chance there for Jack Doyle. He could not corral that pass as he broke to the net, and the turnover is going to send Cornell back the other way. Thomas Keith, number 12, clearing it for the Big Red. Substitutions coming on the field here as Cornell gets their top midfield unit out there. Roy Lang, number 48, receives the ball right here, and keeping a close eye on Rob Pennell. You see him on the left. We're going to be watching him all day. Two-time Ivy League Player of the Year, and right now I think most people would say he is the odds-on favorite to be given the Thornton Award later on this month, the Heisman Trophy for college lacrosse.
I think he could be the first unanimous. I don't know if there's been a unanimous pick, but I don't think anybody else out there is even close.
Pennell, only a junior, already well up the charts in terms of career assists. He is the leading career assist man in the country, active right now. All-time leading assist man for Cornell. And this is his game right here. You see him with his back to the goal, looking for movement, looking to make something happen for a teammate here.
I'm surprised Mock is not clearing for Pennell a little bit more on that wing. If you don't get through, the wing defensemen have an opportunity to help a little bit. Maybe they're looking to take advantage of that.
Low shot caught the foot of Harry Krieger. I'm not sure Krieger really had a good look at that, but it hit him right in the lower leg area.
That was a good save. Not a lot of angle. I think you're much better off if you can get out of his way and give him some topside space.
Now Mock, inside move, and a pickup by Krieger. That ball was not going on goal. Didn't have much on it, and Krieger, quick hands to scoop it up. Would you say that was a little bit of a tentative offensive possession there for Cornell? They got off a couple of shots.
Yeah,
Certainly
I would say
complain.
I didn't like it. I didn't like that possession that much. Again, because they weren't giving Pennell the space. They were basically letting Harvard help and not make him pay for it. You gotta, you know, if Harvard's gonna help, that's fine, because Pennell's gonna find open guys. But you gotta put guys in positions where Harvard can't help, or if they're helping, you got obvious shooting opportunities.